Let's do some short rowing in tuck stitch. It's not commonly done, but it's very useful. In this case, I'm making a capelet. Here's the shape that will result, allowing it to wrap comfortably around the wearer's shoulders. This pattern will be available fairly soon. What we are doing here is using tuck stitch and short rowing combined to create a crescent shape. It's a little bit hard to see, but the portion on the left is exactly half of the length of the portion on the right by means of short rowing. This will shape the capelet. We're using a card that's labeled number 12. Unfortunately, I don't know from what set, but I'll show you a picture of it later. And it's a tuck card. Turns out this is card number 12 of the Singer 700 set. That's what's creating this interesting fabric. Quite a few tuck cards would work, although the gauge might change slightly. This design consists of 40 rows, but it isn't a 40-row repeat on the card. That 40 rows is what is making the shaping. So next I'm going to show you how to do that. We have just finished a short row sequence. You can see all these needles in hold. We're going to begin by knitting them back from hold and resuming tuck stitch all the way across the whole needle selection for 20 rows. In this case, and in many cases, we'll be adding an edge to this fabric to stop it from rolling. That's going to be easier to do if we never let the end needle tuck. On some machines, the end needle, if it were selected to tuck, would simply drop its stitches. This one won't, but we would still prefer to have the end needle knit every time, so I'll show you how to manage that. At the right of the picture, you can just barely see my finger returning the carriage to the knit position where it had been, where the needles would hold. N and H on a brother. It's your levers on a Singer or Studio, and it may be different settings on different machines. But for the next 20 rows, we want not to have needles put into hold. We want to knit back from hold. So N will get us started. And we're going to knit 20 rows. But we're going to watch these end needles. On some machines, you can set a setting on the carriage so that these needles will always come forward. That's what we want. One of the confusing things for new knitters about tuck is that the needles that knit come forward. These are the ones selected to tuck the next row. So in this case, we're good. Both of these needles will knit. That's row 1, 2. These came forward, so we're still good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Aha! Bring this one either up to this position or this position. With the carriage set on N, either one will work. 9. This end's okay. That one we had to reset. 10, 11, 12. Now over here. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Oops, I think I saw that I missed one. If that happens, knit it through and put it forward. And I need to do this one as well. 19. Now what happens if you fail to catch one of these and bring it forward? On this machine, what will happen is it won't knit the following row. And the net result is I won't have a complete column of stitches over here. It is not a disaster. It's just harder to apply the edging evenly. It happens that 2 triangle weights are the right width for this piece of knitting, and that's good. It's time to move them up to keep tuck going smoothly. And it is best that the one on the right be separate from the one on the left, not one wide bar, because with this side growing faster, the weight won't pull down evenly. It'll begin to skew, and now it's not doing very much good. Tuck does need some pull down. It also needs a sponge bar in premium condition. Now, for the next 20 rows, we want the carriage in hold, because we'll be putting needles in to hold a short row. And we're going to do the automatic wrap while short rowing. Short rowing and tuck aren't used together very often, but it works just fine. Watch. 4 needles in hold. Now with these needles in hold, we won't have to consider what's going on in the selection on the left side. We'll only concern ourselves with the right side. So knitting across row 1 of the 20 row tuck sequence, not tuck sequence, short row sequence. Put an additional needle into hold, check the right side. Knit to the right. 4 more into hold. These needles that are holding won't knit. That's why this side doesn't grow as fast as this side. Knit across. Put 1 into hold. Knit back. 4. 1. I'm keeping on checking the right side. So far it's fine. 4, and let me stop and emphasize something. If you use a different tuck card, the order in which these are selected as part of the tuck pattern will be different. And because we're using a 40 row repeat for the short rowing, but that is not the length of the card repeat, you can't just say to yourself, okay, on row 31, 2, 3, and 4 of my repeat, I'll have to look at the right hand edge, because it's going to rotate around and be at a different place in your short rowing pattern at different times. That was row 10, 4 in the hold, 11, 1, 12, 4, 13, 1, 14, 4, 15, 1, 16, 4, and fix this side, 17, 1 into hold, and 1 into knit position. Now something I should point out, if I were to pull this all the way to hold while working the short rows, it won't knit back because we're set to hold. So you need to put it in upper working position, and that will do it. These are our last 2 short rows. 1 more into hold, 2. Now, I'll set the carriage back to normal knitting and make my 20 straight rows. And for the bulk of the garment, this is the procedure. Very simple. I should move this up though. Move them up often. Doing it more often than necessary doesn't hurt a thing. Doing it less often can cause drop stitches at the edge, so move them up.